What's up? How you doing? Here we are, another day. Today we're making chicken on skewers, souvlaki, and something annoying happened about 5 minutes ago. I had this cutting board in my hand, and my other hand I had a brand new, but that big container, which it's over there, of oregano, brand new. It had the seal on top, and I was coming down the stairs over there, and I kind of lost the grip. The oregano went under, fell first, and then this thing fell on top. It crushed the container. Little putt-putt going home to his mom. Crushed the container and emptied the entire content on the ground over here. I could not use it. Really annoyed me. I'm annoyed right now. And so I got the shop vac and got it up in about, I don't know, 5 seconds. And then I went inside, and this was the only one, brand new. Now I have powdered oregano, which is what I'm going to have to use. But I was looking forward to using this brand new, nice smelling. I mean, I can smell it right now. But anyway, so oregano, salt, pepper, salt from the Himalayan area there, Pakistani salt, garlic. The chicken is in here. And the skewers are here, made out of steel. And I have the knife. So we begin. This is brand new. If this falls, it's not going to break. Metal. Anyway, that's life. Happens. All right. These seemed bigger when I bought them, but they're not that big. I grabbed a steak as well, so we'll cook that. So yesterday I was in the desert, driving to the desert. And I look up in the sky as I'm driving, right? And I see these triangular things that were falling through the sky, but very high up. They look like little tiny, little things like that. So I had my camera, and I was kind of like, I'm driving, and I'm just hoping to, I wasn't looking and taking pictures. I had my hand and snapping a bunch of them. Fortunately, a few frames caught the image. And I came home, put them on my computer screen, and increased the size exponentially. But they got big to a certain point, and then they blurred a little bit, so you can't really tell. My hypothesis, my theory, is that parachutes. That's what I think, it's parachutes. People jumping. There's 24 of these objects in the sky. You can count them. They look like little, bigger than dots, but I really think it's parachuters. And somebody I know, I sent them the image, and they confirmed to me from past experience that parachuters, that's what he said. And I think he's 100% correct. He went to college, so 100% correct. I didn't think it was aliens. I wish, but no. Fascinated with the universe. I've mentioned before, I am a big curious guy when it comes to the universe and a few other items, but I look up at night, and especially if I'm out somewhere dark, like the desert, or you know, an area where there's no city lights. I look up in the sky and I see thousands of stars, and from a distance they look like they're close to each other, you know, but in reality they're light years apart. I was reading somewhere where they said that the average distance of a star to another star is about 5 light years, which is huge. I think 5 light years is equivalent to about 100,000 years traveling in our fastest spacecraft 24/7. It would take 100,000 years to get to the next star. We have the Centauri brothers, and to get to those, traveling at about 38,000 miles per hour, which is our fastest spacecraft, that would take about 75,000 years, give or take. That's 24/7, no breaks, no nothing. You just keep going, and it would take 75,000, and that's the closest. It's very fascinating. And then you look, and that's just our backyard, and our galaxy, huge, huge, billions of stars in our galaxy. And then you have, some say they estimate in the observable universe is about 2 trillion galaxies. 2 trillion. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I don't know. And then what caused reality to happen? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. If you think you know, you don't know. Okay? Talking about how did it really happen? Where did matter come from? Where did the atom come from? And what's beyond the observable? You know what's beyond it? More of the same. But where does it end? Does it end? May not end. That's even weirder. I mean, it just keeps going on and on and on. Never ends. And, you know, and if it did end, what would be after that? So you got the universe, you got empty space. Where's the empty space keep going and going into? There's got to be something out there. But, you know, they always say the universe is about 93 billion light years from observable corner to the next observable side. Like, so, observable side. Observable. Anyway, so you have this side and this side, and then we're looking like this and like that, and from here to here is, I think it's about 90 billion light years to get to that, right? But if you were to go somehow, let's say you instantly were able to go right here, 46 billion light years from here, and you got here, when you looked over, you would see the exact same thing looking that way beyond. So it wouldn't be like the you know, 46 billion light year mark right here would be like up against something. This is the edge and here we are at the end. No, it would look like it looks now when you look any portion of the universe. So that's why some people think, tough guy going home, basement time. But some people think the universe is infinite, which is crazy. And then I was listening to Neil deGrasse. I used to say deGrasse Tyson, but he says deGrasse. So we're going to go with his way, because that's the correct way. And he was saying that there is such a thing as an infinity that's bigger than another infinity. And he says, I know, that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it's true. How do you know that's true? Sounds like you just made that up. He says there's different sizes to infinity. Well, then that wouldn't be infinity, right? I don't know, but like I said, every time you hear, you know, scientists say, you know, no matter where you look in the universe, if you were to get to that spot, as far as it is, and then you would look beyond that, it would look the same as if you were here on Earth looking, you know, and thinking that the universe was endless. Very fascinating. Ever since I was a kid, I would feel a little panic inside me when I would think that, imagine if nothing existed. Not even empty space, just nothing anywhere. Not you not existing, but nothing. No reality of any kind, not even a quarter inch of empty space, nothing. And I don't know if that's even possible. When you think about it, your mind goes into a loop, because you think, like, what would be there if there was nothing? Nothing, right? That's why this seems like it makes more sense than nothingness, even though this something is very complex. But we have no idea in reality where this stuff came from. It could be, I know about the Big Bang, believe me, but it could be that the universe never had a beginning. It just recycles and begins again. Or the part we're in right now is that age, 14 billion years. That's this part. But then the universe, being infinite, has many sections that are even older and younger. But the part we're in right now is that old. And that's why maybe the universe is infinite in age. Always existed. Nobody knows. I'm sure, 100 years from now, the knowledge we have today will be dwarfed compared to what they'll know then. 1,000 years from now, they're like, remember when they thought the Big Bang did it? Be like, yeah, no Big Bang. Oh, maybe there was a Big Bang, but only in this section. But the rest of the universe was there. But then you have to go back and find out, how it was day one before anything existed. And you can't go that far. Very fascinating, the reality of the reality. But I would always think about it. I'd be on my swing set in the backyard, and I would say, imagine if nothing existed. No reality of any kind, nobody around, nothing around, not a proton, not a photon, nothing. And here we are. And believe me, if you don't exist, if I don't exist, there might as well be nothing, because you wouldn't know about it. Good chicken, I got it nice and fresh. Good quality store I went. And that's what it is right there. I missed the $6 Million Man. Used to watch that show. Wish they made a remake, but something that will grab my attention as an adult. Because when I watch the old ones, I'm very nostalgic, but I don't enjoy them the way I enjoyed them when I was a kid because of the campiness, Anyway, I'm gonna wash my slimy fingers, and then I'm gonna rinse this, put olive oil, put all the other stuff, and then skewer, cook, and then eat. Billy Joel. Crazy fan I was. Still a fan, but I'm an average fan now. It's a funny thing I want to mention before I go and wash my hands, but when I was a fan like crazy, I thought I was the only one like that. I thought everybody else was like, average. You like him, he's okay, you listen to his music once in a while, but nobody was like me. Now I see it differently. Now I see that there's thousands of people like me. I was just one of many. I was one galaxy in a universe of trillions, But at the time, I thought it was just me. So when I would go see him in concert, I would look at everybody in there, and I would be like, "Yeah, nothing. I'm the real fan here." That's what I thought. But now, over years of not being a fan like that and listening to other people talk about him on the internet, I realize that there are others that liked him just as much as me. I wouldn't say more, no. Not more than me, but equally as much as I liked him. Many people like that. Howard Stern is one of them. You know, Howard Stern mentioned an album that I couldn't put this album down, even though it's not a commercial success. It wasn't. And Billy Joel doesn't really talk about it in the best of terms, because he's one of those guys, he likes to crap on his stuff. Not a fan when he does that. It annoys me. But that Street Life Serenade album, I love that album. I love that album. The Great Suburban Showdown, I love that song. There was a time, and I was listening to Howard Stern say the same thing, that he would play that album all the time. And I did the same thing. When I got that album, I couldn't stop playing it. Roberta, you know. But yeah, Los Angelinos, there's a lot of good tunes on that song, on that album. Actually, I don't think Los Angelinos is on it. So there's I think a couple instrumentals: Roberta, Great Suburban Showdown, Street Life Serenader. What else? Maybe it is. I gotta look. It's been a while since I've listened to that album back to back, but I have a couple of copies of it. And back in my prime, when I was a huge fan, I could not stop listening, all of them. But that one, I loved it. I loved it, especially the fact that it was obscure. Not many people knew it. I felt like I had secret powers because I knew some inside information that most people didn't know about Billy Joel. That album. I actually went and found that building, the drawing that is based on the real building. I went down there, I went inside, shot some video. It's on my channel. Nobody in that bar, bartenders, nobody knew that was the cover. That building was the cover for that album until I told them, and they were like, wow, I never knew that. But a guy outside knew it. When I went outside, I took some video and I was taking images of the building. He comes up to me, he's like, what's going on here? Felt like he was one of those nosy people. So I told him ahead of time, let him know what's going on, so he didn't get all, like, what are you doing here? What are you trying to do? And then he goes, oh yeah, he goes, I knew that. He goes, I knew that this was used for a Billy Joel album, to cover him. I go, yeah. So anyway, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I washed my hands, only to make them slimy again. So I mixed up all the ingredients in here, including the olive oil, and now we add seems like a lot, but missed a piece here. Right. We mix. And then we skewer. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, I'm back again. So, I'm going to pack these skewers, as I don't want to use many of them. What's the point? Could stab somebody with that. Today I was in my motor car behind me, driving around, and I was like thinking, you don't see any kids anymore on bicycles like when I was a kid. I know I mention this often, but it's like a pet peeve of mine that nobody rides a bike anymore. They ride, these bikes that look like, I don't know, they look like older people's bikes, but everything is organized. You get the helmet on, the pads on your elbows, everything is planned. You got to call people, let's go to the park and ride our bikes in circles. You know, when I was a kid, everybody had a bike my age. I mean, there were a few people that grew up isolated, but you know, most kids grew up with a little bit of freedom back then, and everybody had a bike. That was your freedom, the bike. Get up there and disappear. And one of my things, like I was thinking today, it's like a Twilight Zone episode. Like everybody made the kids vanish. There's no kids in the neighborhoods anymore. They're all hidden, you know. But I was a big fan of jumping my bike. I've mentioned this a million times. I felt like I was flying in the air. And then you'd land, sometimes hard, sometimes soft. Best way to land was the rear tire first and then the front. You don't want to land with the front first, especially when it was like a far jump. And far, I mean maybe like, I don't know, 18 feet, something like that. Because then you'd go over the handlebars. I don't know, that seems good for one. Yeah, one time it was getting late. It's getting kind of dusky. It was like fall time or something. And mild weather. And I was on this road with a few of my friends. We were jumping. I found a rock that was like a ramp. It's probably still there. I don't see why it wouldn't be. And I remember I said to them, okay, I'm going to do one more jump, and then we call it a night. So I went all the way far back, and I picked up speed, and I hit the rock hard, and I lifted, and I went up high, but I was in a strange angle. I went up, and then I was coming down like this. And when I landed, I landed hard on my front tire, and not anticipating, you know, the turbulence, not at that level. I didn't have a good grip on the handlebars, and maybe even if I did, it still wouldn't have worked because, you know, whatever. Had to train the forearms. And what happened was I went over the handlebars and landed ahead of the bike on my right elbow. I scraped off some skin off of that, and then I said, all right, we're gonna go home. So everybody went home. I went home. Nobody was home. My mother was visiting a friend up the street. Her best friend lived up there. And so I went into the bathroom. I get some hydrogen peroxide. I remember the bubbling, and kind of patched it up. Took a while, but it healed. And for a long time, it was like a reddish color. Now it's, can't really tell, but back then it was like a reddish color. And that was my worst wipeout. I have wiped out other times on jumps. Remember one time I was down the Cape. They call it down because apparently south is downhill. And I was jumping my bike, and I lost control, and I landed in between the handlebars. My shoulders went in between, and I was balancing the bike with my shoulders in between and steering it, and then finally the bike just fell, and I fell with it. And then another time, this was, I think I was in the second grade. I didn't jump bike that time, but I was going fast. I wiped out, and I landed on my chin. And when I got up, the chin was dripping. Made a hole in my chin. I had to go to the doctor down the street. My pediatrician had his office about, I think about 5 or 6 blocks from my house. Not that far at all. Might have been even less. Maybe 5, yeah. And so I got a ride. My mother gave me a ride. I think my father brought me. I don't know, somebody. I don't remember how I got there. I got there though, and they sewed me up. And then the next day I was playing some kind of hide and seek game over my neighbor's house, 2 doors up, and we would run like crazy and sweat. And then they had this faucet on the outside of the house, and I would go there, I'd let it run for a while, and I'd drink water. That water was cold, nice and fresh. And I remember after a while the water would roll down my cut and give me a weird sensation. And then finally I went in and I remember, well, for a while I was looking like, because it's 10 days before the stitches come out, I was looking at them and it looked like I was growing a beard, a little beard on my chin, chinny chin. But I wasn't. They took them out and you could still see the scar there. And then, many years later, my sister fell and she cut her chin, and we brought it to the doctor. Same doctor, nice guy. He died recently. Like he lived a long life. He just died maybe 3 years ago, something like that. Anyway, so I went in there with her, and he put a paper thing around her head, with an opening. So her chin was here, and she was crying, right? Crying. And as she was crying, I couldn't see her real mouth, but I could see the cut, and the cut looked to me like it was crying. It was like, And I got that uncontrollable laugh, that laugh that you can't stop. It's like, you can't stop it. You're just laughing. And I was laughing in the corner of I was laughing my ass off, right? Because she was crying, not because she was crying, but because the opening in her chin, the cut, was wiggling. And then at one point, I must have thrown the doctor's concentration off. He stops what he was doing. He looks at me. He goes, "You laugh like that again." He goes, "I'm kicking you out of here." And I got all serious. I think I thought about something angry and sad. And anyway, I stopped laughing, but I still wanted to laugh. I wanted to laugh and leave the room. I wanted to tell him, "You can't stop me." So anyway, they stitched her up, and she still remembers that, but she doesn't remember me laughing, but I was laughing. I thought it was hilarious. Not bad. I feel like I'm getting a workout on this arm, You're starting to get that fatigue feeling. It's the same motion. Yeah, like I said, you don't see many kids on bikes anymore. When I learned how to ride a bike on my own, I was 5, and my father bought me this red bike. I couldn't ride it at first, then I kept trying, and then I got it. And I remember the first day, I balanced myself and I was going, and I could see that there was a fire hydrant approaching. I was approaching it, actually, and I went right into it. I just couldn't steer it, If I tried steering it, I'd fall off the bike, so I just kept going, and I went into it. And then about a year after that, when I was like maybe first grade or something, I had my cousin over, and she remembers this because I mentioned this story to her about a year ago, and she said that she remembers. So what happened was, we had this hill in my neighborhood, and the hill it went pretty high, but it was divided at the bottom by a main street that was busy with cars, and I wanted to pick up speed on this hill and go through that main street and then keep going and see how fast I could go. So I told her to wait at the bottom and let me know if any cars were coming. I had to trust her, right? Which I did. I still do. And when she gave me the go-ahead, I went down this steep hill. I crossed through the main road. There was no one there, and I kept going, and all of a sudden I saw these brick stairs that I was ready to hit with a metal railing. So I hit them, and I remember, I felt like somebody took me and spun me around a few times, and I hit my knuckle on my right hand, and I was bleeding, and I could still, if I look at it, I could still see the scar there, it's still there. And yeah, that was a good impact thing. I still remember what it looked like when I hit. Like everything, like the world spun. I wasn't dizzy, but I flipped. Somebody playing the radio. See, nowadays when I drive, I'll hear somebody playing something interesting, you know, next to me at a stoplight, and I don't know what it is. And I pull out my iPhone, and I have the app Shazam, and after a few seconds, Shazam will tell me what that song is. I have discovered a lot of cool tunes that way. Alright, so we're down, this is the last one. That's it for now. For a moment, I'm going to cook these. A lot of oil here.